Why do so many Americans move to Europe after 50 and suddenly feel like they got a decade younger? No, it's not because they started drinking red wine every night, though some of them definitely do. There's something deeper happening here, and once you understand it, you'll never look at your daily habits the same way again. I've been looking into this phenomenon for a while now, and what I found genuinely surprised me. We're talking about people who spent decades struggling with weight, joint pain, fatigue, and a whole laundry list of chronic issues, who packed their bags, moved to Lisbon or Valencia or the south of France, and within months, they're reporting dramatic improvements in how they feel. So what is actually going on? Let's start with the most obvious thing that nobody talks about enough: walking. In most American cities and suburbs, you get in your car to go literally everywhere. You drive to the gym to walk on a treadmill. That is the reality for tens of millions of people. But when you move to a European city, especially as an expat settling into a place like Porto or Bologna or Seville, you walk everywhere. The grocery store is 3 blocks away. The pharmacy is around the corner. The cafe where you meet friends is a 10-minute stroll through cobblestone streets. Researchers have actually looked at step counts across different countries, and Americans consistently rank among the lowest in the world for daily steps. European city dwellers, even older ones, rack up significantly more movement just by going about their normal day. And for people over 50, this kind of low-intensity, consistent daily movement is one of the most powerful things you can do for cardiovascular health, joint health, and mental well-being. You're not crushing yourself at the gym. You're just living your life in a way that requires your body to keep moving. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because this next part changed how I think about food entirely. European food culture is fundamentally different in ways that go way beyond ingredients. Think about the structure of meals in Mediterranean countries. Lunch is often the biggest meal of the day, eaten slowly, sometimes stretching over an hour or two. Dinner is lighter and later, but still unhurried. There's a social dimension to eating that's baked into the culture. You sit down, you talk. You're not scrolling through your phone with one hand and shoveling food with the other. This slower eating pace actually has measurable effects on digestion and satiety. Your brain has time to register that you're full before you've already eaten twice as much as you needed. And this isn't just anecdotal. Studies on eating speed and meal duration consistently show that faster eating is associated with higher caloric intake and greater rates of obesity. But there's more. The actual food supply in much of Europe is regulated differently. Hundreds of additives, artificial dyes, and preservatives that are perfectly legal in American processed foods are either banned or heavily restricted in the European Union. Now, expats aren't necessarily eating out of science experiments when they're in the US, but when you combine fresher local ingredients with a culture that still values cooking from scratch, you end up consuming far fewer of the synthetic compounds that researchers are increasingly linking to inflammation and metabolic disruption. People over 50 often notice this almost immediately. Their digestion improves. Their energy levels stabilize. Some report that joint inflammation seems to ease up. Is it purely the food? Probably not entirely, but it's a meaningful piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about stress, because this might actually be the biggest factor of all. Chronic stress is a silent killer for people in midlife and beyond. It drives inflammation, disrupts sleep, tanks your immune system, and accelerates cognitive decline. The American work culture, even for retirees and people approaching retirement, carries a kind of ambient anxiety that's hard to fully appreciate until you leave it. There's the financial stress of healthcare costs. There's the social isolation that's become epidemic in the United States. There's the constant noise, the news cycle, the feeling that you have to be productive every waking minute or you're somehow falling behind. Many expats describe arriving in Europe and feeling a kind of decompression happen over the first few months. The pace of life is different. Not because Europeans are lazy, that's a lazy stereotype, but because the cultural priorities are different. Time with family, long meals, afternoon walks, these aren't indulgences, they're just life. And when your nervous system stops running in constant fight or flight mode, remarkable things happen to your body. Cortisol levels drop. Sleep quality improves. Inflammation markers go down. People who haven't felt genuinely rested in years suddenly find themselves sleeping deeply and waking up without an alarm. And speaking of sleep, this is another underappreciated piece of the picture. Many European countries have social schedules that actually align better with natural human sleep patterns in certain ways. The long evenings, the later dinner times in places like Spain, might seem counterintuitive, but the overall rhythm of life tends to promote more consistent sleep routines without the relentless pressure to wake up at 5 a.m. and hustle before dawn. Here's the psychological dimension that I think really seals the deal for people over 50 specifically. Moving abroad at this stage of life requires intentionality. You made a conscious choice to change your life. That kind of active agency over your own story is deeply protective for mental health and even physical health. People who feel like they have control over their circumstances tend to make better health choices and have better outcomes across the board. The expat community itself also plays a role. When you arrive in a new country, you're almost forced to build a new social network. You join language classes, you meet neighbors, you find local groups. And for a demographic that struggles enormously with loneliness, that social reconnection is genuinely life-changing. Loneliness carries health risks comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's not an exaggeration. That's what the research shows. And suddenly being embedded in a warm, engaged community reverses that damage fast. There's also something to be said for healthcare access. In many European countries, expats either gain access to public healthcare systems or find that private health insurance is dramatically more affordable than in the United States. When a doctor's visit doesn't come with a fear of financial ruin, people actually go. They get preventive screenings. They address small problems before they become big ones. They follow through on treatment plans. The psychological burden of American healthcare costs is something that many people don't fully realize they've been carrying until it's lifted. Now I want to be honest with you here. Not every expat has a magical transformation. Europe has its own challenges. Bureaucracy can be genuinely painful. Language barriers are real. Homesickness is real. Some places are expensive. Some have their own health pitfalls. And moving abroad doesn't automatically fix deep-seated lifestyle habits if you bring all your old patterns with you. The person who drove everywhere in Ohio and ate fast food daily doesn't automatically become a picture of health just by landing in Barcelona. But what the research and the countless first-person accounts consistently point to is that the environment you live in shapes your behavior more powerfully than willpower ever will. When walking is the default, you walk. When good food is cheap and accessible, you eat it. When stress is culturally dampened, your body recovers. When community is built into daily life, you thrive. Europe, for many expats over 50, simply makes the healthy choice the easy choice. And that's the real lesson here, whether you're planning a move or not. Your environment is either working for you or against you every single day. The expats who are getting healthier aren't superhuman. They didn't find some secret supplement or revolutionary diet. They changed their surroundings, and their surroundings changed them. If this made you think differently about where and how you're living right now, I'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're curious about the top 10 countries to retire affordably in 2026, click on the linked video.